please just start filming, just start talking, stop doubting yourself, stop thinking about everything. I cannot tell you guys how much my executive dysfunction just wants to eat me for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The Lord is testing me, boys. I feel like my life is an emergency 24/7, and that's because of my brain. Like, I'm trying to adjust to this new information, and it's really, 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 really hard. I just want to use my YouTube to get like way more honest with you guys and talk about things that I can't talk about on TikTok. It's so hard to just start something new, like on a new platform, and I think everybody watches people on TikTok. Like, people have millions of followers on TikTok, and then you come to their YouTube and it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like, they have like 5,000 here, and it's just like, and it's so hard to make the jump. So I'm forcing myself. I want to talk about, kind of give like a recap of what I think is happening with the Alex situation, talk about what's happened since. My last video that I posted was like a 45-minute rant. Today we have a mic, so I'd like to talk about Alex a little bit more, especially now that I've calmed down a little bit. But in general, I'm just trying to force myself to sit down and do an hour's worth of content and start getting used to that, because it's so uncomfortable. And even right now, I want to jump out of my fucking skin. Here soon, I'm gonna do an episode about TikTok addiction. I need to tell all my stories about spiritual psychosis and just make this like a library. Moving on. Alex, oh my god. Basically, what I said in my last video is, I can recap what I said in 45 minutes in like 2 minutes. I think that Alex is a full-blown narcissist, like clinically speaking, and I can't diagnose someone. I want to give up all the disclaimers. Please do not. This is just a critique. This is just a commentary. This is just my thoughts on the situation. Please do not go send her any hate or like go comment on any of her videos. Like, I don't want to keep perpetuating the drama, but I just want to give people information and like be able to help them think critically. So what I think is going on with Alex is that exactly what she said in her own YouTube video. She grew up in a cult, like a religious cult. So it's either Seventh-day Adventist or Jehovah's Witness. And for some reason, I always get those two confused. And then I always convince myself that it's the same thing. And I should have looked it up before this YouTube video. But she's one of those like hardcore Christian cults. And I will always say that those are cults, because they are. And they affect you for the rest of your life. And they give you complex PTSD. I listened to one YouTube video that Alex put out where she was having like a breakdown, and I felt like I was kind of like invading her privacy, so I only watched about 20 minutes of it and then I stopped. And yes, it's a public YouTube video, but she's really, really struggling in it. And like on TikTok, she gives, like her bad boy persona, her like, she's like very confident and she doesn't show weakness and like all this stuff. And so I really thought that like maybe she wasn't bothered by being banned. Like, I was kind of surprised. And then I saw this YouTube video that she put out at the beginning of like October or something. I don't know. And I only watched like 20 minutes of it, but it was extremely, extremely telling. Just extremely telling. And from her own words, she grew up in just hardcore crazy religion, and her mom was a narcissist. And when she sat there and described her mother, and like the word narcissist gets thrown around a lot, but there are people who are just true blue narcissists. And I'm starting to think that Alex is one. Again, not a professional diagnosis, just a thought, because I don't understand how anybody can be this like cold and non-reflective and just keep going like nothing's wrong. Like, that's when you're dealing with like narcissism, like somebody who's acting more like a sociopath. Like, truly, like when people can just keep going when they get smashed in the face, like they lose an account with 1.2 million followers. They're told that they're sending their own followers to the psych ward. They're told that people are maybe killing themselves. Like, we don't know if anybody has killed themselves, do we? We wouldn't know. If Alex has been that's a huge thing to say, and I need to be careful. But that's how serious this shit is. And I'm sure that there are some people who have taken their lives because of spiritual TikTok. Like, if there's this many people who have been close, we don't know the people who have. But that's exactly why I make the videos that I do. Like, it's so serious. And don't think for a second that I haven't thought about, like, what if my videos push Alex to a certain point? I have thought about that, and I want to be careful. And I also have to take responsibility for my own videos, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And I wish that more people took it seriously. And I also want to talk about discernment today, because all these people on TikTok, and Alex herself, in her last video that she mentioned me and said that I'm the devil and I'm an NPC and all this stuff. And she also said that I'm not autistic because the system hasn't claimed that I'm autistic. Like, ooh, that shit pissed me off, Alex. It made me so mad. I have to remember that she is injured in the brain. But that also doesn't excuse, like, that doesn't excuse her behavior at the same time. It explains her behavior. That's like a hard line to say, you know, because true narcissism is just crazy. This explains her behavior. But when you're given information like, hey, you could be causing people to kill themselves, and she's just like, no, you guys are so stupid. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's how she acts. She's like, you guys better listen to me, because if you don't, you're fucked. And like, frankly, I don't really care because Brittany has been telling me from her Finsta account from the astral realm that you guys are all fucking stupid and everything's changing in 100 days. Okay, so get ready. And then people are like, what do you mean, Alex? And she's like, I'm not an influencer. Like, oh, okay. But if we don't listen to you, something really big is coming. Oh, that drives me crazy that it like goes in and out. Back to the story about her mom. From Alex's own telling of this story, and I've heard other people say that she's not in contact with her family anymore. She said in this video, and I don't know anything about that. Like, contrary to popular belief, I'm not actually obsessed with her. Like, I'm not. I'm seriously not. I'm concerned about her, and this is fascinating to watch in real time, and I'm terrified for everyone she's influencing. But no, I'm not like obsessed with every detail of her life. I'm just not. But like I said, I stopped watching this YouTube video because I was like, this just feels like I'm invading her privacy for real. But I got a lot of information in just like 20 minutes, and that video was like an hour and a half long, so I didn't really watch the whole thing. But she finally did like break down about losing her account, and of course she makes like no sense, and she's all over the place and just saying like, I don't get it, like if the aliens are coming and like if God is real, like I've been doing everything I was supposed to do, like why is this happening, and blah blah blah. And she talks about her mom and just that her mom was trying to shove religion down everyone's throat. And I wanted to take the clip so bad, but I didn't. And she just, the way she describes her mom, it was so much like listening to her describe herself about what she does with New Age spirituality. And she was so like disgusted by her mother's behavior. And it was almost like an out-of-body experience to watch her describe herself to such a T. And it just hit me so deeply that like, okay, if her mother is truly a narcissist, then Alex was very abused, and that's really, really sad. And then she was also abused by religion. And then, you know, and like this is a very, there's like a pipeline from hardcore Christianity and religion to New Age spirituality to the far alt-right. And Alex is already in the far alt-right. And I talk about that more in my last video, but like, it's just, it makes total sense. And so many people have fallen into this pipeline, and I did too. Like, I grew up in a crazy Christian cult. I found New Age spirituality while I was in the service industry. I wanted to be special. People told me I was special. She could even be autistic, like 1 in 25 people are, if she has a lot of these like extra sensory feelings, or she could, you know, neurodivergent, I don't know, all those terms, it's just exhausting. But she could be you know, and narcissism is neurodivergence. Like that falls under the same category, right? Like it is a brain injury, like, and it's one that they don't think that many people can come back from. Like, and when I say brain injury, I mean a lot of nuance to that, and I will also get into that. But I see mental health issues, particularly CPTSD, as a brain injury, and it is. But I know that, but there's a lot of nuance to that, and I need to explain that further in other videos. But when I say that so flippantly, like, that's what I mean. If that's how she was raised, this makes perfect sense. And the only thing in my mind that makes sense about how she can keep going like this is that she is narcissistic herself. And she might just be full blown. Like, her ability to not care about people, to not, like, this is why she lost her account, is because she has zero ability to reflect. And that's what narcissistic people do. And they'll just keep going, right? Like, they'll just, like, it doesn't matter how much their life blows up. They find a reason to explain it away. They're cold. They're like, you want to just kind of like shake them because you don't understand like why you can't get through to them. It's not just me who's called her out. Like, I'm not the reason she got banned. Like, so many other creators that were her friends, like, her friends have turned against her and said, hey, like, what are you doing? Other spiritual creators who very much believe a lot of the same things she does have turned against her because she's gotten to this point. And I do wonder if ayahuasca has something to do with it. And I'm very pro psychedelics, but not in the sense of traumatized people going and doing 3-day ceremonies with random people in the US. This gets people in so much trouble. And I do wonder if what she is going through at this point has anything to do. She did, from what I know, again, another clip that I saw, she did like 2 ayahuasca ceremonies this year, 2 3-day ceremonies, maybe more. And people were asking her if she was going to do more. Like, that is a lot. And to be doing that while you're so active on the internet, and while you have 1.7 million followers, and while you're going through this big awakening where you think that like you're getting all of this external validation. Yeah. And right after that, it seems like the timeline is when she quit her job. That's right when I found her videos. I had 20,000 followers. She had 1.2 million. She treated me like a fucking peasant. And now we're here. I was not out there like trying to get her taken down. She did that her damn self. She did that by saying that everybody who died from COVID wasn't ascended or wasn't awake yet. Like, she just says stuff like this constantly. She did this by saying that the Sandy Hook shooting didn't happen and publicly supporting Alex Jones. Whoa, that was a feather. That was not an orb. I know people are going to be like, oh, orb in her video. She doesn't believe in anything spiritual. I have this like rainbow thing on my window that's like a privacy blocker. And whenever the sun comes in, it looks like there's a rainbow. And like, I have all these videos where that's like behind my head. And there's always a couple comments like, this girl doesn't even see that God is blessing her. She's so not spiritual, but look at that little rainbow behind her telling her she's wrong. I don't even know where I was at in the story with Alex, but if her mother was a narcissist, that makes sense. If Alex is a narcissist, that makes sense. And that also seems like a very easy way to explain this away. But like, at this point, like, she is so out of it. Oh, we were talking about ayahuasca. And that can really throw people into different states. And again, I'm pro psychedelics. I am pro, especially microdosing, nanodosing, very small amounts. But if she's just like playing around with ayahuasca, and if she did 2 ceremonies recently, and then she lost her big account, and she's like gotten to this point where she doesn't give a shit about anything or anyone, and she really believes that Britney Spears is coming to pick her up with the aliens, dead Britney Spears is coming to pick her up with the aliens, and she's been communicating with her through Instagram. And she really thinks that in 100 days, like, something very serious is going to happen. And she sees aliens in the clouds. Like, she will just look at dead ass normal clouds and be like, if you guys don't see a UFO there, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, she could genuinely be experiencing. I get so mad when that TV goes off. She could be genuinely, like, experiencing some sort of serious. She could be experiencing something from the ayahuasca. And this is also proof that, like, going in and doing a bunch of spiritual healing doesn't really do anything for somebody who's traumatized. In fact, it emboldens them to go and hurt a bunch of people. And there's true spiritual healing that can happen out there. I'm not trying to dog that. But when Alex, like, thinks that because she did ayahuasca and because she's, like, found all these internet, new age, whitewashed, bullshit, appropriated spirituality things, like Gaia, like Dolores Cannon, and she thinks that, like, she's doing all this spiritual work, and look at the wasteland that she is putting out. Look at how much she has not healed. Look at how much her quantum healing sessions made her fucking delusional. They didn't bring her closer to herself. Now she has all these stories about other lives that are just making her, like, she is split now. It's kind of like what they say with nature. It's like, oh, nature is healing. Nature is all that. No, it's not. No, it's not. Nature will kill you in 2 fucking seconds. Same with spirituality. Oh, you want to go fuck around with other realms? Okay. I'm a spiritual person. Like, we're spiritual because we're here. This whole thing is spiritual. We can make babies out of fucking nothing. And you guys act like this realm is nothing. You act like we're in some dense, dark hell. I used to believe that too, and it made it even harder to be here. This place is fucking magical, but she is a perfect example of how somebody who finds spirituality, who is, like, obsessed with themselves and all this stuff, it didn't help her at all. She's the least connected person I've ever seen to herself. She doesn't even act spiritual. She's cruel. Like, what did that ayahuasca do for her? Wake her up to the fact that she is God and all this stuff? But there's just a whole element of this that we will never understand and that we don't understand. And the dangerous part is saying that something like New Age spirituality will give you the answers to your life, because clearly it doesn't. And we've seen it over and over and over and over again. And then we see what happens when these gurus and healers blow up like this. They believe they're so powerful, and then they get knocked the fuck down. And their predictions don't come true, and they hurt people, and they get backed into a corner, and they lie, and they get exposed, and they're cruel. They get fucking exposed. You got exposed, Alex, over and over and over and over again. And then they start doing weird ass shit like she's doing now. I can't even imagine, like, putting all of this shit on the internet and then having to come forward and say I was wrong. I can understand why she is burying her head even deeper in the sand. And if she's really not capable of, like, even kind of contemplating what she's doing, she is a traumatized person who is in deep, deep, deep spiritual delusion. And then the ayahuasca really might have set her off. Plus all the weed. I consume a lot of weed, and I'm telling you right now, if I threw ayahuasca in the mix, like, her brain... So that's what I think is going on, is that she just grew up in a religious, narcissistic home, and now she's repeating that pattern. And then you have the age of the internet. Like, this new age spirituality stuff got so out of control for people who are already struggling with mental health issues, because the internet makes all of this so much stronger, and it makes the pull to the alt-right so much stronger. And I want to get deeper into that, but I need to educate myself more on all of those topics. And then you throw what happens to content creators. Their mind already gets warped. She was in the millions of followers. That alone starts to warp your mind and make you do weird things and make you think that you're, like, somebody who's really, really special. Like, TikTok has done that to a lot of people, given them this, like, strange platform and then taken it away. or this platform really quick, not a strange platform. And that also is a huge thing here. Like, I think that she is spiraling because she lost her big TikTok account. Like, abuse from childhood, narcissistic mother, religious trauma, all this stuff, whatever other brain injuries she's acquired over the years, if she is neurodivergent, the ayahuasca, all of the spiritual influence, the spiritual MLM bullshit of other healers telling her she was a healer, getting her to pay to get her Akashic records read, getting her to pay for quantum healing sessions. This is all a big MLM of people who need money, so they empower other people and say, you should become a healer too. Like, I was a part of this pipeline as well. You have like all of these elements coming together to make this Alex soup. And I'm really scared of what might happen. And I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't know how to be careful in my analysis of all of this. And I don't know how to continue to make videos helping people. Like, I keep saying I'm done making videos about her, and I'm really, really trying. And I keep talking about the subject, and people say, like, this is so helpful, please keep calling out this side of TikTok. So I'm trying to find a way to do it that's more professional, less often, those kind of things, because I don't want to be part of pushing her to take her own life or anything of that nature. Of course, like, this is serious, and I think she is really at a delusional point, and I don't think that she is psychotic. I don't think that she's crazy, but she is deep in spiritual delusion, and she is ripe for a psychotic break. And if something is going on with the ayahuasca where like it like either turned on maybe a little bit of a manic episode or something of that nature, I think that that's very, very possible. And I don't want to bully her. I don't want to make fun of her. It's very hard to not laugh at some of the things that she's saying, and I want to take my responsibility in all of this very, very seriously. I know I didn't get her banned. I know that. But me bringing attention to all of this was part of what led to her losing something very big. And I feel bad for her about that. But she also did it to her fucking self. It's so hard. And this is how you always feel about narcissists. It's like, bro, you did something so fucking horrible. And then it's like, but you're like a little broken bird who doesn't understand anything. Like, I do have compassion for her, especially if that's really how her mom was. And if she doesn't have a family right now, and if she doesn't have the support, like she said in that YouTube video that her family all wants her to get help. And my jaw was on the floor. Like, she literally said something to that effect. Like, yeah, my whole family just thinks I need to be on pills, and like, I need to get help, and I'm not doing that. Like, if that's really what's going on, it's really, really sad. And just the confusion in that one video alone. And this is what drives people crazy about New Age spirituality, is all the promises. You're given all of these promises, and she thinks that everything's working out, and then she's hit with a real life problem, like losing her account, and she's like, why has God forsaken me? Why has God forsaken me? And she says that in the video. She's like, I did everything you wanted. I did everything you wanted. Like, I'm just, she's like, if our vibration is everything, like, and she's like, can I just go? Can I just leave? And ultimately, she just wants to leave the planet. And that's escapism. And that's why it's very fucking dangerous for her to be an influencer, influencing people into escapism. She's not teaching people spirituality. She's not just sharing her story. She's not just spreading love and light and positivity and funny stories about Britney Spears. She's influencing people in her own downward fucking spiral. And this is called when cult leaders get people to drink Kool-Aid and all take themselves off the planet together. Truly, this is how this happens, and we have to start taking it seriously, because now with the internet, it's not going to seem as intense, because you don't have a group of 5,000 people with Alex out in the woods somewhere. They're in their own homes, consuming this information, making decisions, having parasocial relationships with her. How serious are parasocial relationships? We know that they're serious. It's just coming to light how serious internet relationships are, how important influencers are. So yes, she is sending people to psych wards. Yes. The internet has made a new realm for cults and cult leaders. And a lot of people are like, oh, Allie just used discernment. Like, these people just need to use discernment. And I want to talk about discernment because discernment is very easy to say and hard to do and impossible to practice for people who have certain brains. Certain types of CPTSD, certain types of autism, certain types of neurodivergence, certain types of just straight up fucking brain injury. Like, did you get hit in the head ever in your life? Did you play soccer? Did you play football? People who have actual brain injuries, did you have an alcoholic phase? Do you have substance abuse issues? Like, people who have injured fucking brains are not able to use discernment the same way that a neurotypical or an untraumatized or an allistic brain is. Allistic just means not autistic. The part of your brain that can tell you, hey, this isn't true, that can fact check itself, that can regulate itself, that can not fall into fantasy thinking. Those parts of like, it's a brain thing. When people are like, God, you just have to be able to spot this stuff. Why do you think cults exist? Why do you think people get to the point with like what happened with Jamestown, where they're willing to kill their own child in a suicidal ceremony because some random fucking cult leader told them to? How do you think that happens? Like, they just decided not to use their discernment? This stuff also starts slow. That's why I want to be more compassionate in my content and do long form content and learn how to do long form content. I feel like I'm so all over the place, I could cry. Thank you for hanging with me if you are. And I promise I'll get better at being able to like do, you know, like sequenced content that like flows. But this starts slow. This starts very slow. This starts with just, you know, like little ideas and hints at the law of attraction and hearing that your thoughts create your reality and all that stuff. And it ends with you believing that you're going to go, that like somebody's going to pick you up in 100 days with Britney Beers. And people are not crazy for believing this stuff. I don't believe Alex is crazy. I don't think any of her followers are crazy. In fact, the exact opposite. The exact opposite. It shows me where their brains are, and that makes me 10 times more worried for them because they are the people who are susceptible. And what does Alex do when none of this pans out? What does Alex do when someone, like when she actually gets a charge? What does Alex do when like the families of Sandy Hook find her video and she winds up in court? Like, at some point, I really think that it's going to be Alex serves jail time. And I hope that that doesn't happen. But, like, this isn't, like, funny. This isn't a joke. I have a lot of moral questions about what I should do in this situation. I'm going to just try to put out educational content to help people. And obviously not just focus on Alex. Can't just look away either. And if she's going to keep spewing this bullshit, people have to spew counter arguments and try to warn people. That's how I feel. Like, there is a level of just like, okay, let it go, and that's what I'm trying to do. But there's also a level of like, she's out there just driving around drunk with a bunch of passengers in her car, and she still has a huge reach, and she's still saying just the most outlandish things. And she said some really personally horrible things about me. And I wonder what she's actually like in person. I bet it's really scary. I bet she's extremely immature, and I bet she's like, somebody left a comment the other day, and who knows if it's true or not, like, but they were like, I met somebody who's met her before, and they said she's outrageous, like that they did a meet and greet with her and that she's just like completely out of it, which that would make sense. Oh, but what I was talking about was discernment. So people who are traumatized, like, this is how people end up in cults. Like, people can't just use discernment, and they have to, like, now I can be discerning because I understand that my brain is not discerning in any way, shape, or fucking form. In fact, my brain will trick me about people constantly and about information that I'm getting. When people bring up the discernment argument, I just want to make it extremely clear that every brain handles discernment in a different way. People can learn discernment, absolutely. But let's talk about the fact that traumatized brains, like he talks about in The Body Keeps the Score, don't learn from pain. So even if somebody doesn't get what they are promised in New Age spirituality, like, when it becomes an addiction, when this fantastical fantasy thinking becomes like your whole escapism world or your whole worldview, and even if it hurts you, you're gonna keep going. And you can't admit that. I remember when I first started to admit to myself that maybe this wasn't true and maybe Joe Dispenza was a fucking liar. And it's awful and it's uncomfortable and your whole world has to change, and it's coming out of a cult. And yeah, most people aren't gonna do that, and some people aren't capable of doing that. And at this point, I'm kind of convinced that Alex is on that narcissistic, sociopathic, really injured brain realm where I don't know if she ever can come back. I really, really don't. Or if this is just how she actually is in real life. Like, this could just, I don't know who she is. I never watched her Chili's content. Like, I don't know who she was before this. If she was narcissistic before this, I'm assuming she was. She could also be autistic, honestly, and just developed really narcissistic tendencies. You know, there could be a lot of things going on, but people cannot, the whole reason that Alex got into this is because she couldn't be discerning. Like, think about that. And that's where the MLM comes in. And then you surround yourself with people who think like you do. And for those of us who've been through this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we can't just say people need to be discerning. We have to teach them about their brains and teach them that, like, maybe you can't be discerning and you can learn to be. You can absolutely learn to be. And then now I can use, this is the other issue with New Age spirituality and people like Alex and people like me and people who are neurodivergent and have extra sensory perception. Like, even my ex, who is a hardcore narcissist, like, I can diagnose that motherfucker. He is one of the most narcissistic people I've ever met in my life, and someone that will never fucking change. Like, it's the scariest thing I've ever seen. He has extreme spiritual abilities. He can, like, see things, he can feel things. Like, he has tried to shut it down. Like, when people like us and autistic people, and I don't know if it's just like pattern recognition, like, there are certain brains who can feel things, who can feel energies, if you will. Again, I think we use that term wrong. Who can sense things, who are more psychic. And that's a fucking huge issue, because those same brains also tend to have crazy pattern recognition. Like, autistic people tend to have, like, if you look at an holistic brain and an autistic brain on a scan, the autistic brain is just lit the fuck up. It looks like fireworks are going off. We're making so many more connections. Like, our brains are just on. So we do sense more. And then that feeds into your spiritual delusion so much. I still get fucked up every time my sister calls, and I know she's going to call. I know. I can feel it in my stomach. It's like a psychic hit. It's like, bing. And 2 minutes later, 30 seconds later, whatever, my phone rings. Is that just because we're sisters? Is it whatever? I don't know. But, like, those kind of things, once you're deep into this world, they give you so much confirmation. And it's a mess. So people who are autistic, who are extra sensitive, whatever, neurodivergent, I don't fucking know. You guys know what I mean. These types of brains are even more attracted to this work because they can't be discerning. They're more attracted to fantasy. We're usually stuck in fantasy a lot, so this is like the perfect outlet. we're usually suffering uncontrollably, and the thought that we could just like change our lives with our mind is tantalizing. We also get hyper focused, so we lose our shit into this, and we can't be discerning. So it's like an MLM for really sensitive, nice people, and they all think that they're God's special gift to the universe, and then they tell you that you are, and it's just this huge fucking mess, and they make you feel like real life is so mundane and boring and stupid, and we just live in this horrible, dense earth, when it's like, and at the same time, they're like, if you could just wake up to how amazing it is here, like, they confuse you over and over and over again. And then you're confused by the law, and then you're confused by the promises because you're doing all this work, and then life is just life, and you don't get what you're supposed to get, and then you get one thing you're supposed to get, and you're like, oh man, maybe this does work. And the whole time, you're sitting on a fucking planet that's floating through space, my guy. We are literally floating through space. We can make babies out of nothing. We can take mushrooms and see how magical this motherfucker really is. Like, they want, like, if anything, New Age spirituality is the elites. You know, in that sense of, like, these people who want to distract us from the truth. Are they not? Like, Alex is the NPC. She doesn't fucking think. She doesn't talk. She doesn't care about people. She's just here to spread absolute chaos, and she's not. She's a traumatized human, so don't go with this. But I'm just saying, just to flip the script a little bit, they're the ones who are, like, making us all think that, like, that our actual magic, which is just being alive, and yeah, a lot of it's mundane, is bad. This earth sustains us despite all that we do to it. And it might not for much longer. I believe it will, but we won't be here. And you guys are going to make us hate it here more and make us not focus. Like, it's so fucked up to say that you're all spiritual and you're awake to the truth, but instead of using your account with 1.2 million followers to actually make some change here and maybe help the earth, you're going to make a ton of people think that they're leaving Earth and not give a fuck about the planet that they live on. Like, that's really fucked up when you think about it. And all this love and light bullshit, it's not love and light at all. It's ego. It's bypassing. It's escapism. And when you all of a sudden wake up, for lack of a better fucking term, you motherfuckers. When you all of a sudden wake up to like the bullshit that they are spewing, like kind of like when you exactly like when you wake up from religion, exactly like when you wake up from any cult, you can't see anything else. You can't understand how you ever thought that this bullshit was true. You can't unsee it. And every day I get to help people unsee it. Like, I get to help people see, like, get to the point where they can't unsee what they saw. And that's my goal. Because this world is magical. It's fucking magical. And the whole reason that we're all, driving ourselves insane with spirituality and trying to figure out what's going on here is because we're scared. I'm scared to die. I believe that life goes on. I believe that there's a million reasons, and scientific ones as well, to believe that everything's going to be fine. But it's fucking scary. I struggle with existential dread constantly, all the time, every single day, every moment of the day. I am so scared. And that's exactly what brought me to New Age spirituality. And I grew up with religion, this other story, like cult religion, this other story of another realm. And so many of us have lived in that in our entire existence and never even had a chance to fucking breathe the actual air that's here. To enjoy being here for one fucking second because of religion and capitalism and New Age spirituality and all this bullshit. Nobody knows why we're fucking here. And if they tell you that they do, they are liars. They are liars and charlatans. And if they're selling you something in accompaniment with telling you that they understand anything to that degree, if anybody can't admit that they don't really know, that this is just their best guess, tell them to get fucked. Whether that be a doctor, a therapist, whatever. If they don't have that humility, baby, find someone who does. This world is magical, and I'm just starting to realize it. And all of us who are finding out that we're neurodivergent, like, it sucks ass and it's crazy, but we are lucky. All of these people have died. My grandparents, my grandmother was neurodivergent as shit, and she died last year having no idea why she was the way she was her entire fucking life, and just having a horrible goddamn time here. And I am so traumatized by the fact that I didn't find out till this year, but I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. And now it's time for me to free other people. And this world is beautiful. And it's scary, and it's terrifying, and it's chaotic. But now we get to all be there for each other, even if it's in a parasocial way right now. And I need us, I need myself, and I need people who like my message to rest in the fact that, like, we are already magical. We don't need this, like, other spiritual shit to explain away why we are here. To me, spirituality is resting in that mystery, is using things that help you see that, is, for me, mushrooms in extremely, extremely, extremely crazy small doses has helped me feel like I could maybe live again. And I will get into that more as well. Whatever it is that makes you okay with being here, that's all that matters. I really think that this whole thing is heading somewhere. I really think that there's a reason that people suffer here. I do. I believe all of that. All we can do while we're here is love each other and care about each other and try to make each other feel less weird and try to band together. That's literally all we can do. And I'm fucking terrified to be here. I really am. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not. This is the weirdest fucking place of all. And we all have to pretend like we're just okay and get up every day and go to work and like, it's literally batshit. It's literally batshit. It's also beautiful and magical and amazing, and synchronicities happen and love happens and babies happen, even though I don't want children ever, ever, ever. Let me speak that into the universe. No baby zone. Okay? I decided yesterday, I'm like, maybe I'll have sex with penises again after I hit menopause. You know what I mean? Like, hit me up after my body isn't capable. Like, that'll be my sexual prime with men. If I ever have sex with a man again. Anyways, that's for a different video, yeah. I just think it's an interesting concept to realize, like, it is so goddamn magical here, and society has fucked us up in that way and made us believe that we're not a part of this really cool thing. But there is a line where it turns into not spirituality at all. And how can we, like, really toe that line? And how can we learn to think critically? And how can we learn about our own brains? And how can we, be here without torturing ourselves and enjoy it here and not hurt other people? Anyways, y'all, I'm just rambling now. I don't even know what I said in this whole thing. I'm a mess myself. I'm going to make a ton more videos about a ton more things. So I'm just going to start throwing these up on YouTube and see what happens. Thank you for listening to me if you did. And somebody's texting me. Okay. I love you guys so much. I don't know how to end a video. I need an intro. I need an outro. I need a million things. But hey, at least I did this. Okay, have a great day.